Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. I was just looking at the news and seeing the possibility of a stimulus check coming with the pandemic, and certainly around the country a lot of folks really badly need it. But in some cases it's going to be something that people might be able to put to very good use. And I thought, well, what would happen if that was put towards bees? What could you make use of that? If you're already a beekeeper and you've got your basic protective gear, well, with $1,400 you could buy 3 new full beehives with 2 deeps, 2 mediums, and a Saskatraz nuke as well to get started. In my own particular circumstances, given the area that I live in and the types of honey flow I get, if I had 3 colonies to start from scratch like this and I had 3 Saskatraz nukes raring to go in mid-May, well, I could do quite a bit with that. Using last year as an example, I had a lot of hives started off actually more like late May and early June, where I had the equivalent of a single Saskatraz nuke. I started them in single deeps with foundation around them, not drawn out comb. Within 10 days or so, I put another box on top. That would be built out in 2 to 3 weeks. And in most cases I was putting honey supers on top of that before the end of the summer honey flow. And the summer honey flow typically around my area finishes round about the 20th of July. Then we go through a dearth, and the dearth is where we have a lot of things in flower but very little of them producing nectar. And our dearth went on quite a bit longer than normal. Our dearth last year started around about the middle of July, maybe the end of the first week of July. And it went on all the way until the beginning of September. Normally the dearth would finish round about the 3rd week of August. So I had a dearth that was maybe 7 weeks instead of 4. Still, we then got a honey flow in the fall, and I would say on hives like this on average, I would have got a varying amounts of honey depending on how I managed my hives. Last year, had I managed my hives with 2 deeps for the brood chamber going into the winter, I would have typically harvested from those hives about 60 to 70 pounds of honey per hive. I would have filled up the 2 honey supers and left the deep on to be filled up, and I'd probably need to add some sugar syrup to just continue finishing off the deep super. However, what I did do in most cases was I ran my hives as a single brood chamber and aimed to go into the winter with a single brood chamber. So in fact what I did was I built up my hives, and not only did I harvest a couple of supers of honey, I harvested a deep super more or less full of honey also. In fact, it was more like the deep super was full and this one was full and this one was about half full as an average. So instead of about 70 pounds of honey, I averaged about 100 pounds of honey from those. And I would say that my area is fairly typical. It's going to be a matter of how you manage your hives, and of course how much you're prepared to do feeding in the fall, because you're then going into, let's say, the 3rd week of September with a hive which has got next to no food resources in this bottom brood chamber, and so you've really got to apply the sugar syrup. So you'll have an increase in cost of sugar syrup, of course, but compared to the value of the honey you produce, that's neither here nor there. Sugar syrup may be 50 cents a pound, the honey worth $10 a pound, provided you can sell it retail, of course. So in the circumstances where if I had 3 hives started last spring, and let's assume this year the conditions are more or less the same, I'd have had between 70 pounds per hive, that's 210 pounds of honey sold at retail, that's $2,100. Each of those supers would give me maybe a bit under a pound of wax, so I'd have had, say, 5 pounds of wax, which itself, just selling the wax in big blocks, I'd have got $60 to $70 for. But as you'll see in other videos, what I actually do is I make value-added products, lip balms, hand creams, candles, that sort of thing. So I'm making considerably more money with that wax. Whereas what I actually did was I actually ran a single brood chamber and got more like 100 pounds of honey per hive. So that would have been 300 pounds of honey, worth about $3,000, and I'd probably have ended up with more like 6 to 7 pounds of wax, so $70 to $90 worth of wax, which instead of being just sold as bulk wax, I make into lip balms and hand creams. So if you're just doing a fanciful comparison of what could you do with the $1,400 stimulus check if you put it into your bees, get some high quality bees like Saskatraz. My personal opinion, the Saskatraz are an excellent bee, particularly for honey production and for overwintering. But I would have ended up with $3,000 worth of honey, sold at retail of course, and I would have probably made another $1,000 or $2,000 from that beeswax products by making candles, lip balms and hand creams and that sort of thing. So typically I would turn that $1,400 investment into more like $4,000 worth of products that I'm going to sell. Maybe $5,000 worth of products I'm going to sell. Now granted that given that I have to sell a lot more honey, I don't sell it all retail, I sell more of it wholesale, so I'm getting more like $6 a pound. But still I would be doubling or tripling my investment. So I thought that might be useful. It's of no real significance if people are going to invest, if they're going to invest, but I thought, what the heck, I'll just talk about it anyway. I'm running out of ideas for making videos in the middle of the winter, so why not talk about what I do with the stimulus check. So I hope you found that of some interest. Keep us thinking about bees during the middle of the winter time. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. See you next time.